A change to the rally calendar sees Sonny Nelson host round 4 of the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship in winter. So the normally dry, hard roads of Golden Downs Forest look very different this year. But you can still expect plenty of drama on these roads. In 2009, Nelson driver Kieran Hall had the biggest crash of the season, and the championship battle was on for Padden, Mason and Gilmore. Of course, Hayden Padden won the rally and the title. But in 2010, 2 drivers will be fighting to keep their dominance here, as Dean Sumner leads the championship by just 2 points over Emma Gilmore. It's going to be a tough challenge on the roads at Nelson. It may be winter, but Nelson is still the sunshine capital of New Zealand. And the weekend weather predicted to have both rain and sunshine. Headquarters for the rally would be the Museum of the World of Wearable Art, and also home to a fantastic collection of classic and rare automobiles. Friday night brought the rally cars and the drivers together for a display under lights and a chance for the public to meet the drivers. Hayden Padden was competing in the WRC Rally Germany this weekend, so as championship leader, Dean Sumner would start first on the road.
There's not too much gravel on there, so it's not too much of a disadvantage. It will be at Wairarapa, so we really need to take our slippers off and get some good points from this event.
Pressure-wise, you've got a 2-point championship lead. How's the pressure?
Yeah, I'm not too worried. I just keep on telling myself I'll just try my best, and at the end of the day, it's all you can do anyway. And we've given it definitely our best shot going into this round. We've had a lot of help from Hayden Padden, and I've been talking to him, and he's been in Finland, and he's given me a setup to really give a go here, and a setup that works for Nelson, and he's also given me a setup that works for Wairarapa, and so he's been a big help. And spent probably 2 days testing. Came down here a week early, and I feel that I've definitely made some big improvements with the car, and but you never really know till the first few stages tomorrow, so we'll find out, but I'm pretty sure it's going a bit quicker.
Emma Gilmore may have finished second to Hayden Padden at Whangarei in June, but clearly she had better pace than her New Zealand rivals.
Every event we've done this season, the car's been getting better for us, so so it's always a case of refining it and getting it more set up for my style of driving, and we've done a bit of testing, and hopefully in the stages tomorrow the car will feel a bit better.
Realistically, the championships come down to you and Dean, and there's 2 points between you and Dean's favour at the moment.
Yeah, it's great to be in the chase for the championship, but like we've approached every event this season, it's just about deal with each rally really, and control the controllables, look after what we're doing, and see where we are at the end of the weekend.
Chris West can only be called unlucky. Twice he's failed to finish on the final stage of a rally this season, but if Sumner or Gilmore have problems, he's still in with a chance for the title.
Yeah, it's probably a wee bit too early to be giving up just yet. Certainly an outside chance, but for us it's business as usual with Andrew Sims' Lancer, and we just want to go out and put our best foot forward, and obviously hope that some luck goes our way for the weekend.
And while his championship hopes to dash, don't discount a victory this weekend for former champ Richard Mason.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work on the suspension of the car. We did actually do a lot of testing at Whangarei. We were off the pace, so we used it as a test session. A lot of good information's come from that. While we were at Whangarei, we didn't have a centre diff working. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but the electronic centre diffs on our cars are really cool now. And if you don't have one working properly, then it slows you down. And this car's actually got a really cool package within the centre diff, and you can do a lot with it. You can take away the understeer, you can take away oversteer with it, and that can make the difference between a car that's reasonably fast to lightning fast, and we think we've got the nail on the head now.
The Group N3 class for the Fiestas had closed to a 20-point battle. It looked like being a good fight between the class leader, Stephen Barker, and local driver, Ben Hunt.
And we've had a pretty clean run by Whangarei, and fortunately lost some points there, but it's real close coming into Nelson, and it's Ben's home rally.
23 points between you in your favour?
Yeah, for sure. It's a little bit. It's still nothing to take for granted at this stage, though. So very important for us to finish both days here and see how things pan out between us and him for Wairarapa.
Yeah, it's definitely been a good battle throughout the season. Like Stephen's got a few more points on us so far, but there's been a few mistakes, and you make your own luck, I guess, in rallying. And we'll just put in a good solid weekend and see what happens at the end of it.
When you've been on the pace, you've been virtually with the same pace as him.
Yeah, it's been, when we've been on the pace, it's been stage for stage. You know, he's been winning some, we've been winning some. So I think if you look back on stages, I'd say they'll be pretty even, but he'll put in home rally, so go for it this weekend. We've got nothing to lose, so.
And plenty of other class battles to watch out for with 4 open class cars and 6 classics competing on this event. But for now, let's check out the Vantage Aluminium Joinery stage preview with Emma Gilmore.
Here I am standing out the front of one of Rally of Nelson's great supporters, the World of Wearable Arts Museum. As well as the museum, they also have a fantastic classic car collection. But I'm not here today to talk about that, I'm here to talk about the stages. Special Stage 1, Trass Valley, is a fantastic stage to start with. At 32 kilometres long, it's going to be a real wake-up call. You're going to want to make sure that you're definitely on the pace. It starts off with a climb up a hill before some fast technical sections over crests, before we then started a steep descent near the end of the stage, which is also really fast and very narrow. After a short service, we head out to the following stage, Rid Road. This stage is a variation of other stages from the past. I really like the middle section where it's really high speed but still in built-up pine trees, so it's quite technical and you definitely want to be believing in your pace notes. The following stage, Biggs Spooner's Top, is one of my favourite stages in New Zealand rallying. This stage is really fast, yet technical, and that it's not just straights. It's always flowing and turning all the way through, again, the pine trees, so again, pace notes are a must.
250 winding, the 7 right plus 150.
Before we head back to service, we go back and do a repeat of Special Stage 1. With only 50 cars in the field, it should hopefully mean that the stages haven't cut up too bad, although I think one of the spectator junctions could be a little bit muddy. After service, we head back out to repeat of Stages 2 and 3. If it's wet, it could change the stages quite dramatically, especially in the areas where it's been recently logged, where there's just a mud base, no gravel, and it can make the stages very, very slippery in spots.
The rain forecast for Saturday had stayed away, so a cold but sunny morning for the competitors as Dean Sumner leaves the start line at the World of Wearable Art Museum in beautiful Nelson. Stage 1 is a classic Nelson stage, but while the sun might be shining, still wet, damp conditions on the stage, and that has created a real challenge for the drivers to choose their tyre compounds. So, Roger Davis, what sort of choice did Dean Sumner have for this weekend?
Well, Dean Sumner's gone for a new type of Dunlop tyre. They call it an RW. It's an extra block and it's got a deeper groove.
Now, coming up to the first stage, the first split at 10k mark, Sumner sets the pace. 5 minutes 28.1, just 2 points separate Emma Gilmore and Dean Sumner. So pressure on both drivers. And joining us in commentary is top New Zealand rally driver Patrick Nally. Your championship over, mate, but give us an insight into what's going on in this battle behind the wheel.
Yeah, it's going to be a really critical battle that these guys have. There's only 2 points between them, and one of them has to make a break at the start of this. Really has to get going in the first stage, and it's always the hardest thing for a driver, straight out of the blocks, but they don't have a choice.
Right, coming up to the split time, Emma Gilmore, she's 5:43.1. That's down on Sumner already.
4, 3.
Next up, Chris West.
Go.
And also a change in tyres for him too, Roger.
6 right minus.
Yes, a big change for Chris West. He's actually changed tyre brand. He's gone to a Pirelli. He's gone for a K4, which is probably not as soft as what Emma Gilmore or Hayden Payton run, but it'll make a big difference to this car. And Patrick, looks like he's got a fair bit of speed in this car at the moment.
Yeah, he's really pushing through these stages, and Mitsubishi's just absolutely love the Nelson roads. They've got great speed, fast corners, and tell you what, with the way Westy's driving here, I wish I was down there.
Good split time too, 5:35.2, just a little under Sumner. Jeff Argyle fourth on the road and potentially a winner here with the extra power from his open class engine, but he lost a clutch in the stage and that cost him big time. And Richard Mason will be hoping he has no more problems after a bitterly disappointing season so far. I understand lots of work has gone on since Whangarei, Roger.
Yes, tyres, suspension and new fuel. Just talking about the tyres, he's on exactly the same tyres as Dean Sumner, and he's running this new fuel, which is E85 fuel. And Patrick, you know a bit about that.
Yeah, it's a ethanol fuel, 85%, and it gives the cars a whole lot more punch, especially out of the low corners.
Let's see what the changes have worked for Richard Mason coming down to the split time. 5:32.1, well, he's up on Westy. So that's the first 5 of the stage. Dean Sumner now down to the spectator junction. Patrick, not too bad for style there. You're aware of the fans watching?
Yeah, you're always aware of the fans watching there, keeping it exciting for them. And Dean looks like he's going really fast here, a nice, smooth driving style, so it'll be good to see what his time is.
Yes, a tough 31 kilometres for the drivers. 18:48.6 for Sumner. First up, but Raleigh Nelson. That lays down the challenge for Emma Gilmore.
Yeah, Glenn's obviously a bit worried about the speed here.
The whole stage, is that what I'm doing?
Pretty much. 6 left. You just do something once and do it. 20.
Yeah, Glenn's got it right on there. One of the most important roles of a co-driver is to push the driver along, and that's what Emma needs in this stage.
Coming down to the line, and she's looking slow too, so not a good start for Emma Gilmore this morning. 19:36.8. She's lost 48 seconds to Sumner. Well, drama here on stage 1 at Nelson. Dean Sumner seems to have made a great break, but let's see how Westy can go.
Chris should have the same advantage as Dean on the stage, running in the same Mitsubishi Evo 9. The main difference is going to be in the tyres, so it'll be interesting to see what the time is when they come down to the finish of the stage.
And as you can see already, Chris West is down to the finish line, but he's going to be slow. Question, how much slower than Sumner? 19:15.3, that's 26 seconds behind Dean. Richard Mason now, and he really needs a result here to turn his season around.
Yeah, Richard's a class driver and a former champion, and he will not like coming second. He's going to push as hard as he can. He really needs a result here.
Still struggling with the setup of the new look Subaru down to the finish line. Looks a bit better for Mason. 19:12, second fastest. Still 13.4 seconds down on Sumner so far. Kingsley Thompson pushing it wide. He's teamed up with Jeff Judd, a very experienced co-driver.
Yes, and having a good co-driver in the car is absolutely essential because they're writing their own notes for this event. So it'll be interesting to tell how much of an advantage that will really be.
Short 6 right.
Coming down to the finish line for Kingsley Thompson and Jeff Judd. Looks like they've certainly made some good progress here. And the stage time is going to be close to the money. 19:16.6. Fourth fastest. Glenn Smith crashed out of this event last year, but doing okay here. And fifth fastest, just 5.5 seconds behind Thompson. And Sloane Cox would make it 3. Yes, 3 Evo 10s in a row.
50.
Sloane Cox, 6th fastest, and just another 5 seconds back.
Go wide. 20.
And these Evos are the newest evolution of this car. They're constantly getting improved on. More development work is going into them all the time. And it's not a surprise that they're getting faster and faster in every event.
And a good start too for Matt Jansen, 7th fastest, 3 seconds in front of Emma Gilmore.
Well, Matt's from Christchurch, and this is his unofficial home rally. So he's definitely lifting his game. In fact, if you saw those shots earlier, he looks very smooth. In fact, he looks very relaxed in this car. 7th fastest, good effort first up.
To left, Max. Line.
Not a great start though for Glenn Inkster after a crash in Whangarei.
But these guys have been an experienced team and together for years, so the confidence in the car will still be high. No matter what happened in the previous round, these guys will still be pushing.
Well, something's gone wrong here. It just took off to the left.
That was just slippery as
Well, drama there for Inky, and Jeff Argyle in trouble too. A great opportunity for Marcus van Klink to extend his open class lead. On stage 1, he was 9th equal fastest, but leading the class. Also pushing hard, Josh Marston, who returned to the series after missing Whangarei, just 3.3 seconds back. Stephen Barker held a slim lead in the battle for the Group N two-wheel drive class. He had a 23-point margin over Ben Hunt, so the plan for the weekend was to stay in front, extend the lead. So these rides, will they suit the Fiestas, Patrick?
Oh, Fiestas, they're a lovely car, but they really do not have the legs of an Evo. They're topping out at 160 kilometres per hour, and Nelson roads, you need to go much faster than that. So we'll probably see them falling back behind some of the other cars in the event.
Ben Hunt just 6 seconds behind on stage 1, but this will be a great battle as Hunt, of course the local driver, knows exactly what to expect from these roads.
Long 5 left. 7 right plus.
Another local round here, Regan Ross leading the historic class in his escort. In fact, this was the largest ever entry in the historic class with 2 Toyotas and 4 Ford escorts. On board Ross's car, you can see why these guys just love doing it sideways.
6 left minus. 150. Gate.
Well, sideways, that's a total understatement, Clint. Look how fast he's going through here.
And staying with the Fords from the classic escort to the new Super 2000 Ford Fiesta with Dave Strong. He was going strong, but I tell you what, it was going to be a frustrating day in his Ford.
6 left minus 180 wide. 180 wide, incoming Chapman. 6 left, 4 right minus. Second broken an axle. What? 5 left opens? Not sure. Good. Yep. Now we've broken something.
So Dean Sumner dominant after stage 1, a 13-second lead on Richard Mason. Chris West trailing by 26 seconds, but great results for Thompson and Smith. Emma Gilmore with a lot of work to do in service. She's lost 48 seconds. Effectively, that's 19 points to Dean Sumner.
The car's really good. We've done a couple of days testing, and you're never quite sure if you've really nailed the setup or not until you sort of get into the rally. But yeah, I think we've got it nailed.
Nearly a minute on Emma already.
Yeah. We've still got a long way to go. There's only one stage down. Anything can happen, what the rallying's like. So we'll just keep on doing what we're doing.
And it's a welcome back to form for Richard Mason. Clearly the testing's paid off.
It's certainly nice to do a good stage time. It's not first, but it's certainly a long way up from where we were at Whangarei.
Obviously the car, all the changes starting to feel a bit better.
Yeah, it is starting to get a bit better. We're not there yet. We've still got work to do, so we do expect to get a bit faster.
And work to do for Emma Gilmore's crew, frantically returning the suspension to the original settings, the morning having turned into an unfortunate experiment for the team.
We're a long way down, it's a terrible stage 1. Just struggled with the car a lot. We'd made changes, and I think probably partly I'm not feeling the best, and just wasn't working this morning, and didn't work it out quick enough in the 33 Ks, and just struggled.
And Chris West left to ponder why he was so far off the pace, despite being in 3rd position.
Yeah, like Dean's just shot off like a bullet, really. But we're very confident with the Sims car, and I think more of it is down to myself just adjusting to what changes we have done. And we're comfortable. Third's definitely a good start.
And a great start too for Kingsley Thompson in the Evo 10.
Yeah, we're a little bit surprised by that. We had a few moments in there which caught us off guard. There's a lot of slippery stuff under the pine trees with the pine needles on the road. We got a bit of shrubbery in the corners of the car, but yeah, other than that, it felt good. We're going well.
Made a few changes, obviously, before this round, particularly as a co-driver as well.
Yeah, big change for us, obviously. Juddy's got oodles of experience, so we certainly want to develop, draw that from him and try and build on riding our pace note systems.
And the battle for the Fiesta class title would put pressure on both Stephen Barker and Ben Hunt.
Yeah, we're sort of taking it a bit easy in there, and I think so has Ben. It's a bit rough in there, so we're just assuring we get to the finish at the stage. But yeah, I think it's pretty close.
And the 4-wheel drive car's ahead of you, chewing up the road a little bit?
No, it's not too bad. It's just more the odd rock here or there that you've got to avoid. But other than that, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I think Steve's up 6 seconds. I'm a bit of a slow starter, so we'll just push hard for the afternoon and see what happens at the end of the day.
Next group of stages, do you like those? Familiar with them?
Yeah, I've done these next 2 stages a couple of times before, so they're not bad, and a bit more wider than that one. That one's quite narrow coming down the hill, so yeah, it should be good.
And talking about should be good, stick around. Coming up after the road, it's a struggle to keep on the roads in the Forest of Nelson. Welcome back to the Sunshine Forests. Yes, despite the weather forecast, the rain has stayed away for Raleigh Nelson. However, plenty of rain leading up to the event, and that left some of the stages a lot softer than usual on the rally. Digging Sumner first on the road, and somewhat a new experience for him too.
Yeah, it's going to be a big difference for him being first on the road, but I tell you what, there's pros and cons. There's no brake marks. You have no idea where you're supposed to stop for the corners, but you can leave your own lines too and make it interesting for the competitors behind you.
Well, the other thing too, Patrick, is the fact that Dean and Paul don't actually know Emma's times. When they get to the finish, they've got no idea, so they've got to keep pushing.
That's exactly what Sumner's doing. Down to the line, his time, 14:49.8. Emma Gilmore next through the stage, and she's made the right move by going back to her setup from Rally Whangarei.
Yeah, this is a critical point. Emma really has to push now, otherwise she's going to see the championship slip between her fingers. With a slow time on the first stage, she has to go now.
Down to the line, and she's still losing time to Sunro at about half a second a K, but at least not as much this time. And Chris West taking an aggressive line through the stage. Question was just how aggressive?
There's a lot that can go wrong in the front of these cars, and you've really got to be careful about what you get up to.
Wow, that's a big hit, Patrick.
Yeah, and I'll be surprised if you haven't caused some major damage in that jump.
Yeah, bigger than a small jump.
Chris West, the classic Kiwi, the master of the classic understatement.
120.
Coming down to the line, what's his time going to be? He's going to cross 16.2.
Feels like a real drive car.
He'll be annoyed by that. Second place going to the stage so far to Richard Mason. Will be wanting to put the pressure on Sumner. Can't afford to let that gap grow through the fast stages.
Let's just take it easy.
Well, Sarah's slowing Richard down here, so there might be a problem with the car.
Repeat long 3 left minus.
Oh, and you can tell by the steering wheel there, Richard's definitely got a problem in the front. I'd say it'd probably be a puncture.
You're going to deserve a DB after that.
Oh, look, I ran a bit wide. There was a bit of a rough intersection that the car kicked up on a bit and ran wide, and whether I picked up a slow puncture there or whether I actually punctured further down the road, I don't know, but the bottom line is the puncture on the right front, and that slowed us down quite a bit. Big time loss, yeah.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, all this drama out front was going to be in someone's favour. Kingsley Thompson was fourth, only 1.8 seconds behind West at the start of the stage.
This is the best performance from an Evo 10 so far. Kingsley will take advantage from the problems of the other competitors.
So a good move for Kingsley Thompson. 15.09 moves him up to second. Another Evo 10, another good stage time too coming up for Sloane Cox. Sixth fastest on stage one, but Glenn Smith had slid off the stage, so Cox was guaranteed a place coming down to the end of the stage then. And Cox's time, what's it going to be?
Beat fast 5 right plus opens 120.
15.04, that moves him up to fourth place. The Evo 10's on the charge. Ben Jagger made a slow start on stage one, 12th fastest.
6 left minus.
Wait a second, that's Glenn Smith on the side of the stage there.
No.
Oh, drama there for Jagger. Perhaps he may have been put off by Smith walking down the side of the road.
This man.
Ah, Ben, mate, I know exactly how you feel.
Also feeling frustrated, Glenn Inkster trying to get back into the top 5 after he slid wide on stage one with a bit of a misfire starting to affect the engine.
Yeah, and in these roads you need as much power as possible, so Glenn is going to be one unhappy chappie in that car.
15.11.8, that moves him up to 7th place. We've talked about Matt Jansen getting used to more power from his engine from the previous round. Seems to be getting up to speed too. 8th overall, just 1.8 seconds down on Inky.
Yeah, and Matt's changed to a new engine tuner, Scott Speed, and I'd say he's finally getting the benefits out of that new arrangement.
Marcus Van Klink still ninth, but also seems to like these roads, leading the open class. Nelson driver Kieran Hall moved into 10th on the stage. The car not really showing full potential on the morning stages, but you do have to consider that Kieran had a horrendous crash here in 2009. Dominic Unterberg was also benefiting from local knowledge. The Nelson driver having his best run this season in the ex-Mason Subaru, 11th place. A shorter stage now, just 15.3 kilometres through Biggs and Spooner's top roads. The second part of the stage has been used extensively on this rally, so the drivers know it well. Dean Sumner, again, the fastest through the stage, a time 9.09.8. While he was setting the pace, Emma Gilmore was finding her pace again. She would push hard through the stage.
Well, unfortunately, Emma's got the flu this morning, so she can't go down to the chemist and just buy anything off the counter there. Rallying, just like athletics or other sports, is drug-free. So Emma really has to get her head into it and just get on with it and try and do as good as she can today.
Let's check out her time as she comes down to the line. 9 minutes, 10.7.
Emma getting a bit closer to Dean now with that stage time.
Yeah, like just it's feeling a lot better. I'm a lot happier in the car, and yeah, no, it's going good.
So you could say she almost flew through that stage. Meanwhile, Richard Mason will be pushing hard to make up for his lost time with that puncture.
Yeah, he'll be pushing hard, but Richard knows these roads. He should be fast.
Even with a bit of mud in your eye, look at that on the windscreen. Hard to see where you're going. Down to the finish line for Mason. 9:12.7. That'll put the pressure on Kingsley Thompson.
Richard back on the pace again after that stage 2.
Yeah, back on the pace. So to be a little bit mindful of punctures now. We've got to go 2 without a spare, so very careful on a few spots in there. So, yeah, pretty happy with that time.
So lots of pressure now for Kingsley Thompson, a new co-driver, of course, but Juddy suddenly finds himself in a battle for second place.
Yeah, and it's a similar position I found myself in last year, so he'll really be feeling the pressure.
Whoa, that's what happens! He held on to it, though. But he lost time and drops back to 3rd place. Chris West would stay in 5th place with a stage time of 9 minutes 19.5, but he now had Emma Gilmore 0.4 in front.
Up 180.
Sloane Cox was the big loser on the stage, though. In fact, he couldn't even get the car off the start line. In fact, he had a problem with a leaking turbo pipe, and that would cost him 2 places on the stage.
You've got to get past that control board.
Jansen, 6th fastest on the stage, moved him up to 7th, just 5.3 seconds behind Sloane Cox now.
Well, Matt's doing well, and he looks very smooth in that car. Not a lot of steering movement, unlike you, Patrick.
Yeah, some people might call it a bit over-enthusiastic, but there's no doubt smooth is fast.
Jeff Argyle was able to improve on this stage as it wasn't so long. The clutch was lasting for the first 10 kilometres before the fluid boiled. But he was still well behind Marcus van Klink, leader in the open class in 9th. And what a battle too in the open class. Marston gaining 20 seconds on van Klink in the stage, closing to within 5 seconds. Not a great day for Alex Kelsey though, trailing the open class leaders with computer problems in his Subaru. And it was a case of if only for Dave Strong. With the drive shaft replaced, he was enjoying a much better run. These roads suiting the S2000 Fiesta, but the time lost on stage 1 would be too much to make up on day 1.
5 left to minus 60. Long 4 right, rocks 50.
But in the 2-wheel drive Group N class, Stephen Barker had pulled out a slight lead over Nelson's Ben Hunt.
6 left minus, opens.
Now, these fast roads, though, it meant that there was no giant killing runs by the little Fiestas today, but still enjoying their own little private battle, Patrick.
Yeah, they won't be able to match it with the rest of the cars here, but these 2 cars, these 2 drivers, going to be battling it for the rest of the rally.
Hunt lost a further 6 seconds on the stage, so the gap now between the 2 was 26 seconds. Phil Campbell was the only other Fiesta, and trailing by another 30 seconds in 3rd place. Stick around. Coming up after the break, we'll check out the action in the historic class, and can anyone pull Dean Sumner back on the roads around Nelson? Welcome back to Rally Nelson, round 4 of the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship, supported by the Wow Factor, the home of the wearable art collection and a fantastic collection of classic cars. Speaking of which, 6 historic rally cars competing for the Historic Challenge Trophy. Regan Ross now in 17th overall and leading the Historics, and what a great drive too of the Escort.
It's a long 5 right, opens.
What a great driver, right? Just watch this guy throwing this car around. Fantastic car control here from Regan Ross.
Shane Merlin won Rally Nelson in a Subaru back in 2002, but he's another convert to the class, and by stage 3, 2nd in the Historic Challenge, 21st overall. This is Ron Davies' first year in the historic class, but he competed here back in 2009. He was 3rd, 40 seconds back from Merlin in a less powerful RS 2000. First of the Toyotas, the AE86 of Miles McElwain. And the starlet of Adam Fisher, the car that launched the career of many drivers back in the 1980s. And Carl Rabbage, one of the South Island's most successful drivers in the 70s and 80s, now a Silver Fern rally organiser, getting some skids in his Escort. Time now for the second run through Trass Valley, and while there was still plenty of mud and water off the road, the first run through the stage had dried out the road conditions and exposed the grip underneath, so expect some faster times through the stage, but watch out for those rocks, Patrick.
Yeah, there's some big rocks on the roads there, and I tell you what, the second run through, you're going to see major rocks coming out, and also, as soon as you get offline, get in the thin gravel and lose heaps of time and get dramas to boot.
Sumner's lead going into the stage, 57 seconds, so no mistakes, the day would be his, and the time, 18:37. That's 11 seconds quicker than the first run through the stage. Now, disaster for Emma Gilmore, 19:36, remember, this morning, so she needs to be a lot quicker this time. Can she make the big improvement?
Well, the crew have changed the suspension back to the way it was on Whangarei. Has it helped? Yes, it has. That's a 57-second improvement.
And she says it's wicked too. Chris West, third fastest through the stage, just 1 second slower than Gilmore, so looks like there will be no repercussions from his heavy landing on stage 2. Jeff Argyle was still struggling with no clutch, but was making progress. 6th fastest on the stage and moving up 4 places to 9th, and retook the open class lead.
Yeah, well, Jeff's got a huge amount of experience, and even with the gearbox problems he's having, he's still having a great run.
Talking about a great run, what a turnaround the morning's been for Richard Mason, the B&T Subaru, finally back on the pace that had delivered a win on day 2 of Rally Otago. 4th fastest this time would see Richard hold on to 2nd spot.
See, it looks like Sarah's enjoying herself in the car, but they've got to be a little bit careful here because Richard's only got 4 tyres. Remember, he had a puncture earlier, so he's got no spare.
And after surprising everyone with his pace during the morning, Kingsley Thompson dropped off the pace on stage 4. In fact, it was such a close battle for those top positions, he dropped from 3rd to 5th.
Yeah, Kingsley really woke up this morning and got stuck in, but he's feeling the pressure now. He's not committing like he was in the morning.
Talking about being committed, Glenn Inkster still plagued by a misfire, as you can hear. He gained a couple of spots on this stage to be 6th.
120.
Must be distracting having an engine problem like that, though, when you're behind the wheel.
Oh, definitely. And there's nothing he can do about it as well. He knows that he's doing everything he can as a driver. He's just got to get the car to the end, fix it overnight, and go for tomorrow.
Speaking of distractions, check this out. Josh Marsden suddenly finding himself without any vision after the bonnet pin broke.
You see? You right? Yep, you're going to have to get out and get the bonnet.
Well, that has to be a classic comment from Rocky. Can you see?
The Fiesta battle continued with Stephen Barker still leading Ben Hunt. Barker seems unaffected by his crash at Whangarei.
Yeah, Stephen's got a really cool head on his shoulders. He wasn't really worried by that crash up in Whangarei, so he'll just be sitting here focusing on the championship, making sure he stays ahead of Ben Hunt.
6 left, tightens to long 5 minus, 180.
Talking about being in the hunt, Hunt slowly closing the gap to actually faster on stage 4. Matt Summerfield, the only Kiwi 2 competitor in the rally, virtually had the championship all sewn up, but it didn't stop him from pushing hard.
Yeah, Matt will really be trying to focus on making sure he can close the gap to the other Fiesta drivers. That's got to be his target for this weekend.
So a battle between the Skoda and the Ford Fiestas. And going into the final service of the day, Dean Sumner has pulled out a 1-minute lead over Richard Mason. Close back to Gilmore and West, but Thompson drops down after a good start. Glenn Inkster making up for lost time, moving to 6th, and a great effort by Matt Jansen and Kieran Hall. And there's their battle between Barker and Hunt and the Fiestas, with Summerfield closing in on Campbell. At service, Dean Sumner just happy and in charge.
We're just not taking any risks anymore. We're just don't want to do anything stupid like we did in Whangarei a few years ago when we had a big lead. So we've just sort of backed off now and just getting to the finish, really.
Also a happy chappy, nice for a change, Richard Mason in 2nd.
Yeah, we certainly made a hash of the last 3 stages. Punctured and then had to take it easy really and stay away from another puncture for the next 2. So we've been caught up a bit for 2nd. 1st is probably out of the question for today unless Dean gets a puncture. Could happen. But we'll focus on holding off the others behind us.
And feeling happier, Emma Gilmore.
Yeah, it was a case of trying to minimise the damage we did in the first stage this morning as far as time loss, and I think we did that. We kept improving each stage and a lot happier with the car setup. So yeah, we've got the 2 stages to go. It's going to be pretty rough out there, so it'll be a case of avoiding the rocks, make sure we have a clean run and yeah, hopefully get up to 2nd.
Meanwhile, Westie's crew were hard at work repairing the intercooler.
Just a little bit unfortunate in the 2nd stage this morning with an intersection that's, looking at it, just caught out a few people, not only ourselves, but squashed the intercooler pipes. So it's, it wasn't, it's obviously put us on the back, set us back for the following stages.
Ben, looks like the battle between you and Stephen Barker is 22 seconds now in his favour.
Yeah, apparently someone said that he's 22 seconds up on us. First 3 stages in the morning, I was a bit hesitant on some of the corners and just probably using that brake a bit too much. So that last stage was definitely a lot better. So we'll keep doing that for the rest of the afternoon.
Stephen, looks like you're leading the battle at the moment. 22 seconds in front, 2 stages to go.
Yeah, it's looking good for us. I think Ben pulled a little bit back in that last stage here, but we're going all right. We're just we ran out of tyres in that last stage a bit towards the end. So, but like I say, we're going all right.
Regan, big lead in historics at the moment, 3.5 minute lead over Ron Davey.
Yeah, no, we've had a nice clean run this morning. Had a few rocks, but we've been lucky and got away without any punches.
First 2-wheel drive car as well, beating the Fiestas.
Yeah, that's sort of always good fun to try and have a wee battle with those boys. Steve actually got the better. I think the first couple were just struggling a bit with the terrain, really, but now the roads are sweeping off a bit, and not quite as many rocks for the little car to handle, where we can sort of push along a bit harder now.
Coming up after the break, it's the race home for day 1. Rally Nelson, round 4 of the Vantage Element. Welcome back. 2 stages to go on Rally Nelson, round 4 of the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship. And what a day it's been for Dean Sumner. 2 stages to go. Absolutely dominating with those setups from Hayden Padden.
Well, Dean's been down here. He's just missed a gear there, though, but he's been down here testing, and he's really put a lot of effort into this, Patrick.
Yeah, he's come with a completely different mindset to this weekend. He's not defending, he's attacking. He's going out there to go and win this championship, and he's going to win it at this event.
And the real battle today was Richard Mason on the left, Emma Gilmore on the right. Both have had problems, lost time, yet here we are, stage 5, and the battle's all on for second place.
Well, if you listen carefully, you can see that Emma wants those pace notes delivered to her earlier than Richard.
Long, tightens again to 4 plus clip. Braking to short 3 left, tightens to 2. What was it? Short 3 left, tightens to 2. Into 4 right, tightens.
Glenn calling the notes for Emma. Remember, Sarah calling the notes for Richard Mason. Gilmore 2.8 seconds faster on the stage. But Mason still hanging on to second by just 2.6 seconds, and this would go right down to the wire. Meanwhile, the battle for third, though, was a disaster for Chris West, losing over a minute here, and that would move Kingsley Thompson up to third. Another big moment for Westy.
And that was the same jump, Westy.
And another puncture. Now this was looking like being another great rally for Kingsley Thompson, following on from his PWRC podium finish at Rally New Zealand. Of course, this is just his second year in the championship. Looks like the driver and the car are starting to finally reach their potential, which is great for the championship.
Just 6 right, 5 left minus, 34 right opens.
So just 1 sprint stage left, the super fast Biggs Road Spooners Top Road. It's been a great day for the historic challenge, third in class for the RS 2000 Ron Davey. The car powered by the 2-litre Cortina engine, so slower than the high-revving BDAs in front. Second in the class, 21st overall, Shane Merlin. Doesn't quite have the pace of the class leader, Regan Ross, but still having heaps of fun.
4 left opens, keep in.
And another outstanding day for Regan Ross, who would finish first in 2-wheel drive and lead the historic challenge in 14th overall.
Long 4 left.
The lone Kiwi 2 car of Matt Summerfield came home in 20th, but of course he now has the title in the bag, and hopefully we'll see more of these cars next year. Now this wasn't the way that Phil Campbell hoped to finish the day, but thanks to the great eye of rally lensman Jeff Ritter, we can see this Fiesta will require just a little bit of work overnight. In the end, the battle for the Fiestas had been hard fought, but a slow start in the morning had cost Ben Hunt. Stephen Barker held on to the class lead and the championship lead, finished 16th overall. And with Ben Jagger failing to finish, he moves into second spot in the junior championship title race. And a tough day for Alex Kelsey, who struggled with engine problems but recovered to finish 13th, 4th in the open class.
7 left, 120.
Third in the open class, Josh Marsden. And if it hadn't have been for that broken bonnet pin, he would have challenged Van Klink for second.
Crest 80, 5 right.
And after leading the class for the morning, Marcus Van Klink lost his battle with Jeff Argyle, having to settle for second in the class, 10th overall. And Argyle could take some consolation from finishing ahead in the open class, but 9th overall is disappointing. He would have hoped to actually challenge the leaders here. Of the Nelson drivers, Dominic Unterberger just outside the top 10 in 11th, but a better result than he's had on previous rounds. And after a slow start of the morning stages, 8th for Kieran Hall wasn't too bad, although he'd be looking to improve on day 2. And after attending the Motorsport New Zealand Elite Academy in July, Christchurch driver Matt Jansen saw benefits, scoring 7th overall, one of his best performances so far, and he certainly made some significant gains on the second run through the stages. 6th place overall for Glenn Inkster. Another up and down day, sort of a frustrating day, which sort of wraps up his championship overall, actually. Struggled with that misfire most of the day.
150.
But still charging towards the finish. And another rally day of what might have been for Chris West. Unlucky not to be third. He would finish 5th.
Westie's only got himself to blame here because that jump twice, that's where he made the mistake and it cost him 3rd place.
Great day for Kingsley Thompson, though. The best result by an Evo 10 driver in the New Zealand Championship, and he's shown a dramatic improvement here. And while Dean Sumner would easily claim victory, the best battle today was between Mason and Gilmore, with just 2.6 seconds separating them going into the stage. Emma's time over the superfast stage was 8:59.2.
8:59.
So Richard Mason just needs a time of 9:01.8 or faster to hang on to second spot. Can he do it?
Over finish 30.
8:59.7. Yes, he's done it.
Did you get it?
I got it on that. 8:59.
Good to see them smiling again.
Richard, you're 0.5 of a second slower than Emma, so second place is yours.
We'll take that, mate. We'll take that. I was a bit slow up the hill, and that last bit was fast, so nice to get a second for a change. We've been really struggling the last little while.
And a great day for Dean Sumner from Rotorua, totally dominant, just as Hayden Patton had been in Whangarei.
Dean, congratulations. You've done what you had to do. You got here. You got a leg win.
Yeah, we just got to do the same tomorrow now. So yeah, we're not gonna relax or anything like that. And you know, we're only halfway through. So yeah, we really need to do the same tomorrow.
1 minute 12 seconds, the final margin for Dean Sumner, but just 2.1 seconds for Mason over Gilmore. Matt Jansen and Kieran Hall both showing great improvement on previous rallies in 7th and 8th. Jeff Argyle leading the open class, and Regan Ross first two-wheel drive and first classic and 14th overall. Stephen Barker first Fiesta, but Sloane Cox dropping to 16th after turbo problems. Matt Summerfield will go home, the Kiwi 2 champion, first of the 2010 titles to be confirmed. And next week, high-speed rally action. Join us for day 2 of Rally Nelson, round 4 of the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship.